Video, I'm going to show you how to set up a caster to do the pulls for you. I'm going to show you how to automate the whole process and talk about how you would set up your campsite. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you need to do when setting up a campsite and getting your caster going is to take a look around and find a good campsite. That's the first thing you want to do. So this campsite's really good. In fact, it's one of the best because these crocodiles are not friendly. They're not social to each other. You can pull them one at a time. It's like a dream come true. And there's many other campsites that are this way too. You just have to look around and find them. And different levels have different campsite, but you have to get them because this kind of campsite will be just great. Not a lot goes wrong over here, but some things can go wrong. And let's talk about those first. The things that can go wrong are if you're level 12, for example, and you accidentally pull a deep water caiman who is 16, or the other one up there who is possibly even higher. You want to pull all the ones in your level. Look at this, deep water crocodile 17, deep water crocodile level 20. That could be a problem. Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to pull what you want and not have to worry about these. Okay, but the first thing you're going to do, the very first thing, set up your team. The support characters, for example, you have a necro here, and I'm using a mercenary just for simplicity instead of having to set up a cleric, but most people have a cleric. I have a necro as DPS, and I have a tank here. Most camps, sites you set up, you should have a tank. Some kind of tank or another. Pets are okay to go ahead and tank for you, but they're no substitute for a real tank. And that could be a Shadow Knight, it could be a Paladin. You need something that's kind of a meat shield. I've set camps up before with no tank, and it's always been a lot harder. Sometimes you just get flat out killed if the heals don't hit the pets, because pets aren't as strong as real tanks, especially tanks that are using IHC or the I&I setup with Kiss Assist. They're way stronger because they can go through things. So make sure you have a tank. Don't try this without a tank unless everything's really low level to you. Okay, so you got your tank here. They should be set up on IHC Merc, and in this situation they're set up on different computers. But I did that so that they're not all on the taskbar at the bottom here and making it confusing for you. But if they are on your computer, you can run IHC Merc on your support characters and they'll work absolutely fine. But if you want to customize them a little bit or set up a really good AFK camp that works overnight where you never have to check it, I would really recommend on using the I&I file, unless your IHC Merc is pretty efficient. Okay, so efficient meaning it doesn't blow all the mana and spend all the time sitting there. Next step, you want to set up your spell loadouts the way you want. So in this case, I go like this. I would load this spell first, and I go through this process every time I set it up. I don't open the spells like this, but just so I get an idea of what I'm going to do. So I have Tosh, and this is debatable. You can use slow, you may not need to. It all depends on the level you're pulling. If you're going to pull something up to 5 levels, then I would go ahead and use the slow. Then you have your dot over here, damage over time. You have to look at the mana on this. I like to lay it all out on the table, as they say, just like this, so you can see just how much mana you're doing per fight. And remember, each fight is going to cost you this much mana. All you do is just add it up, and then you figure out how much it's going to cost you. So you got 10 mana over there, you got 50 over here, that's 60. You got over here 60, that's 76. That's about almost 150 mana right there. So over 150 mana. So it's 150 mana per encounter if you use all these things. And when you use the I&I file, you always have to be conscious of this, because I&I file just will be like IHC, it'll just keep casting. So that's about, it'll only leave you 100 mana. So in reality, you don't want to use that much mana. You don't probably need all these, because the necro will be going in there and everybody else will be putting in DPS. So this is just theoretical of what you would want to do. Okay, so that's after you set your spells up, put them in the spell lineup. You can put them in any way you want, as long as they're here. Keep them in the way, but they have to be in the spell bar. And then get those in there. And then the very next step that I always do is I set up my support characters so they're ready to go and support me. Then I test it out. Now what's supposed to happen is Chomp Chomp's supposed to come in and pick up the bad guy. He's going to tank him. Eve always wins, put some DPS on him. And at this level, you may or may not need to slow them. I would just go for DPS. So in this case, I would tosh them so that magic stuff lands on them. I put a dot on them. You know, you'll have to kind of see. I know already what I'm going to do, but I just want to show you. Pretend you're getting out to the camp. You have no idea what am I going to need to kill this kind of level 13 Cayman or not. So play it like this. Play it manually the first few rounds. Your support characters are ready to go, and here we go. Let's tosh him. Okay, here he comes, and there goes Chomp Chomp. Chomp Chomp's engaging him. Now, let's see how we're doing there. Doing all right. And he should be, there goes a Necro. Here comes a Necro casting his stuff. Let's see, let's just get a feel for what is going on. See, this Enchanter Pet's kind of useless, doesn't do anything. So they're doing a great job. Monitor their mana. Okay, right around now, we're doing great on the heals. The healer is blowing a little bit of mana. We want to have everybody in equilibrium. Evil always wins, is losing a lot of mana. So let's go ahead and throw in some nukes. And we'll hit for 31. Let's try to end the fight faster. 2 nukes, which will do it. And there you go. So we spent a total of about 32 mana on that round. You see our mana is good, but we should spend a little more mana because Evil always wins. We'll run out of mana very, very soon. Let's go ahead and drop this. So what I want to do is I should actually nuke a little bit earlier. And if you do about 4 of these, this is about 64 mana. You could do, this will be about 4 rounds right here. And we want to balance this out. So we're going to let them med a little bit. Just a little bit. We're going to find another Cayman. Here he's coming back to the camp. And this is a little bit lower. So let's go ahead and fire at him. And if you look at the cost of this, 73 mana versus 16. You could do 4 of these and it'll do a lot of damage. So, and the fight's pretty quick. So let's go ahead and we're going to use this here. We're going to use chaotic feedback. We're going to fire earlier. This is how you test your camp. Okay, go like that. Let's start firing right away. And 1 and 2. Make sure your skills are up. So there. And it's fire again. We're going to do 4 of these. That's 60 mana. That's less. Another one. And we probably didn't even need to do that. Okay. And it's a little bit lagged, but there he goes. So now you can see what your other character's using, and you're about there. And everybody's going to med up. Okay. We're at level 12. And now the next thing we're going to do is we think this is about right. We can just go with chaotic feedback. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the whole routine and to drop all these spells on them. Let's say we want to drop it all on them and really, really go for it. Okay, so what you do at this point, get your spells lined up so you know, figure out what you're going to do. And then let's open these up so that they're here so you can actually see them. Let's show you what if you're going to fight a tough mob, you would do something like this. And this would be like a tougher than tough, maybe something about 4 levels above you. Okay, then you go to there. Next thing you're going to do is you bring up your INI file here. And if you don't know where to find your INI file, check the previous video, which is a video on how to set up a basic puller. It'll show you where it is located and what to do. So let's go through all the important points one more time again. In this case, make sure if you're at a static camp, and static meaning you're going to be in the same spot, you're not moving, set this to 1. We went over this here. The camp radius, you can set it to 30. I set mine to less. Just set it to 5, so it's right here. And then what you want to do is you want to go down here. And another important part is to set the med start. I like to set mine higher, so it's always medding. This will med and keep your mana up. Or you can set it lower, but if you set it lower, you're going to have to wait until you get there. For example, the default is 20, so it'll keep firing until you get down to 20, and then it'll go from there. So let's set it at 20. You can get an idea what it's like. But sometimes I set it higher, just so it does one battle, it sits in meds a little bit, comes back up, fights another one, and another one. It doesn't go through all of it. Why this benefits you is if you're in an area where, let's just say there is a bunch of KOS mobs in the area, and you set it to 20, you can go ahead and kill all those KOS mobs, but the problem with that sometimes if there's a roamer and you're almost out of mana and roamer comes and you're all the way down to 20% or 25% and you're not ready to med, you could get killed right there. So if you keep it higher, you'll always have some mana. It'll go a little slower, but the whole name of the game here is set it and forget it, and you want to look at it from the long term. So we're going to set that Do not set med on combat because that means it'll med through combat. I wouldn't do that at all. Let's go down to here. We're going to skip the buffs and we're going to talk about buffs later. In many cases here, you can see we don't even need the buffs at all. The melee assist, this means you will assist at 99%. This applies to pets also. Melee on means you're going to go ahead and use your, as Dr. Doom, you're going to use your steak knife. I wouldn't do this for casters, you'll get killed, but melee assist at 99, when he's down to 99%, you're going to jump in. This will give the tank time to establish aggro, a little bit of aggro at least. Okay, let's go all the way down here. Let's skip all these. Now we're going to get to the big point here. We're going to get to DPS. Set DPS to 1. This means DPS is on. It will fire the spells based on the level you give it. Okay, so what this means, DPS skip, meaning you want to skip after 20. You don't want to pop anything off anymore. And now if you're using a lot of dots, this is why you want this to be here, because if you put on a dot when the monster's almost dead, you're going to waste your mana. But at the high level game, 20% means the mob has a lot of hit points left, so you may have to set this lower. At the high level game, I set this to a lot lower. And also depending on if you're using nukes, sometimes you don't want the mob, like these mobs will run if you don't have a snare. But if you do have a snare, you can keep this at 20 and let the melee finish them off. For this case here, since we don't have a, well, we do have a snare, let's set it to 20. So this is how you do it. You don't have a snare, set it lower so you can gun them down with your nuke. If you do have a snare, set it a little higher and you can take them on. Next big key thing is to start putting in your DPSs here. Okay, so your DPS, the way it's going to go, it's two parts here. The first part, and I'm going to make it really, really simple here, is just what you have in this here. But since you are going to be pulling with Tashina, you want to go, and if you're going to pull with that, you want to skip all the way down first to the pull area and change this and save Tashina. Okay, so that's, see why I keep them here, so you know how to spell them. And later on, it's really easy to mess up on the spelling, but I keep these spells lined up like this so I can see it right here. Okay, we're going to go back to this. So that's Tashina. Now let's go all the way back up to DPS. DPS now, we got a couple options. We can use whatever we want to fire at the enemy. That is your DPS. So if we want to do Languid Pace, we'll do Languid Pace. That'll be next. That'll come after Tashina because Tashina is used for a pull. We'll go Language Pace, we'll go Choke, and we go Chaotic Feedback. This will shoot them down if they try to run. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it in. Just show you all the big stuff going off. Oops, see? You can see my spelling is bad. And set the pipe in here. This tells at what level do you want to set it off at. And in this case, we want to go right away at 100%. Okay, next one, we're going to fill this out. It's going to be Choke. And let's set Choke to go below, when the monster's health gets below 99%, we fire off Choke. Okay, now the thing is, this is going to be a dot on him and all that. Now we have a damage over time working him. You have an option where you can find the chaotic feedback, but this is why I say test it by playing it without using anything, because you want to check the aggro. If you pull too much aggro with all this stuff, it's going to be a big problem. So let's use chaotic feedback at, let's put it down at 40%. Okay, so this is as he gets down there and he's running. You're going to start casting at about 40%. By the time he's there, he's probably going to be about 20. It's going to hit him around somewhere around 20 or something. And it has a little stun to it, pushback and a 1 second stun. This will help everybody get some hits on him. And it'll bring his health down to like 10, for this level. So you got to kind of know what your mobs are. Now, the next thing you want to do is set the debuff all on. Okay, and to figure out what that is, let's go in here and we're going to go back to Kiss Assist. You're going to see it on the Redguides forum, and I've referred to this before. What this does, is it sets the setting on this. If you set it to 1, it'll just try to do it and that'll be it. But if you set it to 2, it'll keep trying to land it on them. Now sometimes this is really, really important. For example, as an enchanter, when you have a lot of mobs and you absolutely positively need to get them slowed, I would definitely set to 2. In this case, that's set to 2. And what this means is it's going to make sure that slow lands on it. The bad thing is if you're fighting stuff that gives you a lot of resist, you're going to blow all your mana because it'll keep trying and trying and getting resisted. But I usually set this to 2 like that. Okay, so now that you have that, next thing we want to do is we want to go down to pull. And this is going to get a little interesting here. We're in the pull section. You see we pull with Tashina right here. Now the next things we have to deal with are max radius. Now you can see Z range is 50. It doesn't need to be that much because we're in a flat area right here. So let's go ahead and check out how do you figure out what the max radius is. You can use a map like we did in the previous video. But what I like to do sometimes, the map is a little deceptive. Like you look at it and everything looks great and all, but I kind of like to say, well, let's take a look at Tashina. What is the range on it? It's 200, right? So I don't want my character to have to run all the way out there and all that. And if you have an AFK team, the less running around your character's doing, the better. And you want your tank to stay in camp also. So let's go ahead and look out there. Well, that range is 341. Okay, that's a little far away. If he's going this way, you're going to start chasing him, which is bad. Okay, so this came in as 350. This guy over here, Crocodile, is 171. He's in range. So let's set this thing to about 250 is kind of good. Okay, so 238, that's about right. I want to get these guys here. Remember, AFK camps, you don't have to be so aggressive and taking every mob, because that's the thing. If you do that, it draws a lot of attention. And it's not a matter of how fast you do things. It's not like a real group. You just want to have something that's consistent and steady. So what I do is I go in here and set the range at 250. That's a little bit outside your range. Next thing you have to look at is pull radius to use. So if your pull radius is 200, your character will run up there and use 90% of that radius. Okay, so pull pause. Let's set this to 0. This character here is just going to go ahead and pick off stuff here. Now here's another thing. Pull width at 360. What this means, it'll pull stuff behind you. You have to be careful about that because there are caimans out in the water and you're going to start running into the water here. So let's just go ahead and keep it at this here. And this is the way he's supposed to be facing. So let's set the width to 120. That's like in front of us right here. Okay. So now we've got those all set up. There are a couple other tools here you have to be careful of. These are the GM tools. If your AFK tools are on, what'll happen is if a GM shows up, it'll go ahead and click you. It'll see AFK GM action. It'll pause the macro. Some it'll quit you to camp. It all depends. You have to get to know your camp as to what you're going to do here. But I usually turn this off because I get pretty safe camps and it's nothing. I'm not interfering with anybody else, and so people usually don't come out and cause problems. Okay, so that's basically, let's go over the basics here. Let's start from the top. Like the other one I did, I camp. These are important. Oh, and this one here. Let's go over this. One final thing I did miss. If you're going to be pulling with a caster and you do have a pet, in this case we do, so you go like this. Okay, puller, pet, tank. So you're going to pull and you're going to have the pet tank it also. It's probably not going to happen that way because your real tank is going to set that up. But if you don't set it that way and you don't have a puller, you get this error message. It'll say, oh, wouldn't you be better with a pet? And that'll cause it to get confused and you have an error. So let's go ahead and do this here. And let me go ahead and explain what camp radius exceed means. This is important too. You can set this a little bit lower, and here's why. Let's set it at 300. You want to, in my opinion, you want to set it kind of low, but not too low. It's because what will happen is one of the tactics of GMs out there is they will go ahead and summon your character a distance away from your camp. And they will do that, and they will see if your character runs back to the camp. If your character runs back to camp or runs away from them, they know you're a bot, and they will go ahead and ban you from that. But if you set it at a radius is a little bit bigger, then the thing is a little bit smaller, like this. And let's get an idea of what 300 really is. Let's go to, that got crocodiles 500, so 400 would have worked, but let's see 300. That's 300 right there. If he just summons you over there, you won't come running back to the camp, and you know your character's not going to run any further than that. So you can keep it at that. That way, if GMs kind of come in and check you, because that's one of the popular ways they check you is to summon you, then you'll be okay. Okay, so the keys here are these 4 entries. Polar pet tank. This is as a caster, remember. Camp radius 5. Camp radius exceed 300. Okay, so let's go down to med start. We'll work on that later. You can tweak this depending on when you want to have more med. Next thing, we're going to go down here. Kept the melee at 99% right here. And we're going to go down, and the other key is our DPS right here. These are DPS things. And I'll show you how to change this if you don't like it. Debuff all on. This will make sure it gets the slow on, unless you don't care about the slow getting on. And heals, if you're a classic, and heal the pet. That's another thing. And then finally we go all the way down to pet on. Let's get the pet on. You can do this too. If you're a mage, enchanter, I really don't care, because this pet here is really phony. It's not it's nothing you can take seriously, but a mage, you would go ahead and set this to on, and you can have a spell to heal your pet. You can put down the pet buffs here, but we'll go into that with another video with buffing. Mez is a different thing. Out here, you're not going to even need Mez, and that's why you want camps like this, because you're not going to have to worry about extra stuff coming into your camp that's hostile. You're only going to do one at a time, okay? And then we're going to go down. We're going to skip burn, and we're going to go with the pull section here. And this is our pull section. It looks like this. Pull with Tashina. The radius 250. The max Z range is fine out here. And here's our pull pause. We don't want any pause. The arc is about 120. And the radius is that. Okay, we're going to set that just like that. Save that file. There's one final thing we have to do here. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to pull what you want. So you don't end up pulling this guy here. This guy you'll blow a lot of mana. You can probably kill him, but you can use a lot of mana. And in many situations, if you were to come out this camp at, like a lot of times you can get out here at level 7, 8, 9. If you come here at level 7 and you got a group, there's no way you can take him. You only want to take a caiman. That crocodile would kill you too. So what do we have here? A croc. Let's look here. And this looks like a caiman. Now they're all crocodiles. So for us, there we go. See, the caiman is 12. So we can get caimans and we can get crocodiles. Keep in mind, there's a lot of mobs out here. If there's so many mobs, let's just go to the caiman. So now the next thing you do is in that same folder I showed you, this folder, load up this file called Kiss Assist Info. And in here, you're going to see all the names of the zones that you've been to. So if you've come into this zone and left the zone, it'll put an entry in here for you. And this is where you want to put in here. So you have mobs to ignore. You put those in there. Let's say it's like a quest mob or something like that. But let's just go ahead and mobs to pull. And you can list up to 25 here. So what you do is you put your thing here. And you go ahead and take that out. So you got that, right? A caiman, right? We're going to pull a caiman. And you got the crocodile. So a caiman and a crocodile, right? These are the only ones we're going to pull. And we're going to leave it like that. Actually, I should just set it as a caiman. I'm going to set it as both because caiman would be the one. Let's see, do we have any more around here? Deepwater crocodile. And what do we have over there? Yeah, that's a crocodile. Okay, we're going to pull both of those. Okay, so go back to this. Make sure this entry is set. These are the only ones that they're going to pull. You're just going to pull this. You're not going to pull anything else. if you want to exclude mobs, so let's just say this, there's like 20 different mobs you want to pull, but there's 2 you don't want to pull, then you would just leave this the way it was, and then you would go ahead and put in the ones to ignore. Like let's say they had a quest mob or the vendor standing right in front of you. You don't want to pull them, or you don't want to target them, but you want to pull everything else, then go the other way. In this case, we have a lot of mobs, and we only want to pull 2 types of mobs out of the big pile. Look at there's deep water crocodile and all that, and there's going to be orcs that are going to be running down here and all that. So we just want to select 2. Then you go the other way like this. When you just want 1 or 2 types of mobs, you do this. This is also good if you're, say, farming a quest mob or something, and you're just sitting there and you're waiting on the quest mob, and you don't want to kill the other stuff. It's just wasting your time and causing a chance for you to get stuck on something. So let's just say you're looking for the quest mob that you have to kill. Then you just set the quest mob's name in there and don't do anything else. Your character just sits there and they buff and they wait and they wait and they kill it. Okay, so this is how you do it. So let's go ahead and make sure it's saved. We saved it. We got all these things. So once again, our setup is we're going to come out and unload these spells like this here. Let's go back to this. We're going to unload these spells under DPS. We're going to go Languid Paste, Choke, Chaotic Feedback after they have Tosh. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to Pull Width. This is the radius. And you're going to see the Return to Camp and all of that. Okay. And at the same time, these other guys are going to engage. Next thing you do, target your tank here. Just remember this here. And you should have this hotkey set up called Mac Kiss Assist. This will go ahead and load the thing. Make sure you also do this too. You've seen this on the other video, how to end the thing. Okay. What I like to do, make sure you keep your tank in the camp. This is how you'd play normally. Some people like to pull the tank. I don't like to. I believe the tank should be always back in the group. You get a bard, you get a monk to pull, or somebody that's a real puller to pull. I like to position myself slightly behind the tank so the tank gets the intercept. And then after that, we target the tank, and then we're going to set this up. Here we go. Let's see if it goes. And there it goes. Should be loading up. Variable set. Let's double check here. Puller pet tank. We can just change this. Might have a problem with the pet here. And let's see, it's Indus. We'll do this. Could be the enchanter pet here. There we go. There we go. There's Crocodile. See that? He's targeting him and he's out of range. So this is the closest crocodile to us. There we go. Got him. Selected this one. Okay, now we're in business. Yeah, the problem is the pet here. Enchanter pet's not considered. There goes Languid Pace. The pet's not considered a real pet. I never considered a real pet. I mean, there's people that just swear by this pet all day long, but I'm one of them that I just like. You've seen my videos. I never use it. The charm pet is way better. In the old days, I used to use it because I thought, oh, I'm doing 1% DPS, but it's more trouble than it's worth. See there, the nuke went off just in time. Chaotic feedback, and there we go. We use 50% mana, so we're on par with Evil Always Wins. And I will sit down. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so there. He went to pull. See how he turned away and he pulled like that? He went to close the gap on him right there. He'll wait till, there he goes, 99%. So you can see right now we're blowing a lot of mana right here. Yeah, blowing a lot. Here goes Choke. So right now we're out of mana. So this is not a good, this would be not a good lineup to do because we're overkilling, we're over-dotting him. That's what it's called. And see the dot, look at how much the dot has, 27 seconds left. Okay, so when you see that, just hit, he's going to go into med. This is what a med cycle is. So he's going to med. Evil Always Wins still has mana, so it's about 2 kills like that. And our level, it's okay. But you can see here he only pulled Crocodile, right? And he can pull Cayman when he gets a little mana up. But that doesn't know exactly how to manage the mana. So let's go ahead and let's change a few things. We want to have a little more mana here. Let's not do a couple things. So we're going to go back to here. As I talk about keeping your group going. And let's come down to DPS. What we really don't need is, in my opinion, the Choke is the one that kills it. Also, languid pace. We don't really need languid pace because these guys, we have no problem killing them. So let's remove languid pace. Let's remove choke. Let's just go with chaotic feedback. So what you want to do is clear off this, clear off that. Set this interval in there. Put this in. Let's change this out. Whoops. And change it to that. Let's set this up a little bit different. You figure about, you could cast about 4 of these. So let's set it at 80%. At 80%, we're going to be able to fire this 4 times. Now that we've ended our macro, see, we've ended it, we can go ahead and reinitialize the macro. Let's wait here until he's back up. And see, Evil Always Wins should have his dark pack going. So we're going to be back to full mana in just a moment. Let's target him, our guy here. We do have enough, and we'll see what the mana usage goes, because what you want to do is keep it so there's just balance. You can kill a maximum amount of mobs without having to have downtime. This is called downtime right here. 2 mobs and all that. I mean, it's accurate for if you had 3 people in your group, this is exactly what would happen. You'd kill 2 mobs, you run out of mana, and you have to wait and all that. But what really happens in a real group is they'll say, hey, you don't need to slow them. You don't need to put a dot on him. We're killing him so fast. So, okay, well, I'll just put chaotic feedback on him a couple times and do it. That's how I play it. I just look at what everybody's mana is, because you don't want to have somebody blowing all their mana. Okay, back to this guy. Let's go ahead and start up again. There he goes. There's our Croc. He's back in action. And there goes Chomp Chomp. He's on him. And Necro is going to wait to get into it. So it's at 80%, you should see us starting a nuke. We're going to throw 3 nukes in there. And chaotic feedback is 16 mana. It's about 45, 48 mana. There's one. Look how much it takes him down. Like there, he's at 50%. Next nuke coming in. So that hit him there. So that's about 20% each time. So we're going to take 60% of his health off, roughly, with 3 shots right there. And that's a lot more mana efficient. So see that? Now see how he isn't sitting right here? Okay, there we go. So there's another one. So now we can kill 3 mobs on 1 tank of gas instead of 2. And then we can set it up, maybe he fires only 2 of them. And this is how you tweak it. Okay, here comes 80% when the first nuke goes off. Here it comes. There it went. 1, 2. And there we go, he's below 20, so we don't fire the next nuke. We still have mana, we can maybe kill 4 of these. So there he goes, he's going to wait, and we're going to wait. There goes another one. And this is a little problem. Sometimes you can get stuck, so you got to be careful about how you do this with the pulls right there, of setting the range. On an open beach like this, it's fine because you're not going to get stuck on anything, but you can see why I didn't set the radius too big. What can happen sometimes, your character can go up and get stuck on a tree there. And if you get stuck on a tree, then that's going to be a problem right there. And also, if other people are hunting around you, you may run over to theirs, their camp, and kill their stuff. So there we go. Here comes chaotic feedback. Look at Evil Always Wins has blown some mana. And we're doing great. Okay, so let's drop this on the ground. And okay, that's good. So Evil Always Wins is going to med up. We still are, our med comes at 20, but since there's nothing, it'll go ahead and med. Let's take a look at the map and see what's going on here. So on the map, you can kind of see what it looks like here. There's a deep water, there's a crocodile, there's a caiman, they're coming in from the outside. When they get into about the green area, we're going to pull them. Let's watch this. Okay, he should be in the green area. There's a caiman. There we go, so it changed. Sometimes it takes a little while. And you can see there's much better mana efficiency. If we actually nuked a little bit faster, Evil Always Wins would probably have a little more mana. Or if we got him to lay off things like he's firing here, Heat Blood, which drains a lot of mana. He probably doesn't need to use Heat Blood. So we can do that, but just watch yourself right here. Look at this, we're going fine. And this is a little issue. See right here, he can't really target him so well. He's got to run out there. Okay. And we're doing great on mana, just non-stop killing here. Look at that, almost went 3/4 of a level. On your TLP server like Rizlona, this will be more like 4% per kill, I would say, yellow cons. And see, Necro ran out of mana, so he's not going to do anything. But that's okay. And there it goes. We're going to keep firing until he's dead, and we're doing great on mana. And here it goes. And we should go into med cycle right after this. There we go. Nice. So there you go. You can see your DPS up there. And this guy's aggressively pulling. DPS is 8 right here. And this is why you want the tank here. If you do it without the tank, these guys are going to come hit you, stun you, take a big chunk out of you. But you want your tank to intercept right there. Okay, so this is just going to show you right here. He'll go into med cycle after this. Here we go. Here comes a nuke. He's got enough to nuke. And after he gets out of this, he's going to med up. Got another nuke. Thing I like about chaotic feedback, it does pretty good damage at this level. And there we go. We're going to get him. And the Necropet is on him too. We don't have any mana, that's the problem. So it's better to actually set the med cycle a little bit higher than this low, because they're going to chase him all the way down the beach till they get him. There you go. Here they're going to med now, and you can see here 4%. It's time to med. So he'll med all the way up as much as he can. And that's it, guys. So that's how you set up a caster to pull, and how you test out your campsite, how you build out your INI file, and also the other KissAssist INI file, KissAssist info on what to pull. I hope this helps all of you. I'm going to keep coming back with more advanced topics. Eventually we'll get to how to use the mez and how to do that when more things come into camp. This is, like I said, this is a very easy camp. You're not going to have many problems when doing this kind of camp, but I would recommend that if you do this, and make sure you're at your computer if you can, or if you're going to be away from the computer and let it run, try to find a safe way that's kind of out of the way here. If you can see on the map, right here, I'm right here. A million people are going to come by this place, and they're going to see you. Probably not going to do anything if you're on Rizlona or a live server, but try to find a place that's a little bit out of the way. For example, you might want to go a little bit down to the south, down here. It might be good. Or you may want to set up and kill the orc camp. See, there's yellows in there. Break the orc camp first and work it. Keep in mind there's a dry bone skeleton, level 18. He may be tough, but you may want to set up out of the way. It's always better to do that. And then you can run this thing all night long, or you can run it for 4 or 5 hours if you're nearby, and you'll have no problem here. So once again, just to recap, the ingredients of setting this: you have your enchanter to pull, to debuff, or whatever. You have your tank, should always have some kind of tank. Next thing you should do is you should have some kind of DPS out there, and I'm using a healer merc for convenience right here. And so you're all set. See, he's coming to come back, and he's going to find something real soon, because there's a crocodile in there. As soon as his mana gets up high enough, he'll go ahead and engage this guy, and he'll take him out. And there's also a caiman out there in range too. See how he's trying to sit down and med up again. And this is a way to do it, everybody. Okay, so you can see you don't really need a whole lot of buffs. Later on in the game, you will need more buffs, but I always like to set up the DPS first and see if I got enough here. Because if we were to cast buffs here, that's going to be about 1/3 of our mana bar. That means there's less you're going to kill. That means you could be killing stuff instead of the buffs. If you're in a dangerous spot and you need the buffs, okay, put the buffs up. But if not, don't even bother with them. But later on, you'll see you will need them. Okay, thanks for watching, and good luck out there, and look for the next video.